Life emerges, and one day it ends. In between, time passes. Over time, minds and bodies change. Along life's journey, there is a time to play, a time to learn, and a time to breed. A time to share life's lessons. Those who reach old age are fortunate. They have overcome every danger. But inevitably, they must say goodbye. Aging, it's a passage through time, and no two paths are the same. Since the first simple cells appeared on our planet, life has flourished and diversified. Lifespans have diversified too. For fish or coral, how long is a long life? With each species on its own unique evolutionary path, some have lifespans that are fleetingly short. Others have evolved to be extremely long-lived. A remote island in the heart of the Indian Ocean holds some of the secrets of longevity. Here, we find a reptile that has walked the Earth very slowly for nearly 200 million years. The Aldabra giant tortoise is famous for its long life. Though once found on much of this archipelago's islands, the species is now threatened with extinction. Curious Island has become this tortoise's last refuge. Park Ranger Alan Cedras knows all about their past and now concerns himself with their future.
They were introduced here, Curious Marine National Park, since the late 17th, and we have been letting them colonize area which they need to colonize and let nature take its course according to whatever they want to move out. We have no restriction or moving them in one place or another. We just let them live freely on this island.
Alan grew up here. To him, the tortoises are more than just a conservation project. They are part of the island's identity.
So this is one of the land tortoise that stays in the wild. It's a number 100 plus and 107. This is for identification. So this one is an adult male, probably around 70 years old. And if you look at the shell, you can still see the white line. This means that it is still growing, okay? And clearly there's a concave shape underneath, which proves that it is a male.
At the age of 70, this male is in the prime of his life. He may live to be 250. It's a feat of longevity, unmatched in all other land animals. Its heavy shell makes up much of its 300-kilogram body. Weightlifting with each step, slow plodding is the price it pays for indestructible armor. Its heart rate and digestion are just as slow. Living a long life often means taking things slowly.
And you can notice it's mostly grass. The way they feed, they just cut and swallow. They mostly eat grass, so you will see. And they have a very slow metabolism, and after a week or two, this will come out, and they've sucked in all the chemicals that is in it.
Its vegetarian diet may also aid in its longevity. Stress can accelerate aging. But this tortoise lives a life of tranquility, punctuated by frequent naps. After a nap, the only real exertion of the day is reserved for mating. A tortoise tryst awaits. This female is receptive. In tortoise coupling, keeping your balance is a tricky business. Soon, the female will lay 10 to 20 eggs, which, buried underground, will incubate all alone for 8 months. Island life has its advantages. There are few predators here, but one of those predators is now on the prowl. Adult tortoises have little to fear here, but for the eggs and babies, it's a different matter. These crabs are one of the dangers they must avoid to survive. With age, tortoises outgrow most dangers, aside from humans and their pets. They had been led to the brink of extinction by passing sailors, but the species now enjoys protection and careful monitoring. These baby tortoises receive 2 to 3 years of Alan's attentive care. Then they will be released into the wild, where they may live out their lives for another 2 centuries or more. Over time, animals are shaped by nature. This giant, a modern relic of an ancient Earth, continues its slow march through time. The potential lifespan of every living thing is encoded in its DNA. Only the most cunning and strong survive. Life experience is an asset. While old age and senescence are often linked, they are different. Aging refers to the inevitable passing of time. Every living being gets older. Senescence is the mind and body's decline with age. African elephants are another long-lived species. Individuals can live up to 70 years or more. Like the tortoise, the elephant's metabolism is slow. An old elephant is a wise sage. Its learned experiences help guide the whole community. In the elephant world, older females lead the herd. Each family has a matriarch. The matriarch leads the community not by brute force, but with her wisdom. All follow and obey her, especially the most vulnerable, the young. A baby elephant is born with an immature brain. It must be taught how to do everything. Mother elephants are extremely protective of their young. Siblings, aunts, and grandmothers also play a role in protecting and teaching the calves. These young elephants are the future of the herd. Today's lesson is about mud. Mud protects against parasites and sunburns. Elephant research has been going on here since the 1970s. That makes it one of the world's longest studied populations. This is researcher Vicky Fishlock.
It's incredibly rewarding to follow animals over their whole life history, but we haven't managed to do that yet for these elephants. We've been going for more than 4 decades. We're into our 44th year now, and we think that our average female in Amboseli lives to be 45 years old. We've documented individuals living well into their 70s. And what we've become very interested in is this idea of how an animal's life changes as they age, and what that means for them and their social and reproductive success and their networks and friendships.
Studying elephants of all ages through time has led to many discoveries and many new questions. One recent discovery is that once they've reached maturity, female elephants are capable of giving birth for virtually their entire lives.
Oh, no, this is Ella. This is Echo's sister, who has been hardly with the family for ages.
Ella has been photographed and observed since the research began.
Hello, sweet girls. So yeah, she's 50. She's still giving birth. She's probably pregnant again right now.
Ella is a member of the well-known EB family. Her sister, Echo, was one of the family's great matriarchs. When Echo died, Ella became the oldest. That meant the matriarch's empty spot was hers to fill. But Ella showed no interest in leadership. It was finally Enid, her younger sister, who stepped up for the job.
And this is my girl, Enid. Enid is not only the daughter of a matriarch, she's also got all the traits of a leader. She keeps the family together, and she's a really strong rallying point.
All this time in the field has given researchers the privilege of watching these powerful pachyderms up close and better understanding their lives. Over the years, Vicky has witnessed many births and deaths.
We don't know very much about the diseases of old age. We have found some evidence of a couple of bone tumors. We've seen some individuals that we think may have some arthritic-style problems, but really they do incredibly well, usually until the point where they're no longer extracting their food and they suddenly tend to go downhill. And at that point, we tend to find that females will stay close to water, within the swamps here where there's soft vegetation. Often the family will leave them at some point because she is no longer able to direct them to where they want to go. We also think that some females may do some kind of cognitive decline where they just stop making as much sense with their choices for their families, and at some point the family will leave. Physiologically, we have no evidence of them doing anything like heart disease or anything like that. Maybe that happens, we don't really know. But we do know that some females do start resorbing calcium as they get older.
An elephant's jaw can be used to determine when the animal died.
But if we look here at this jaw, I can show you how elephant teeth grow, and this is how we can age them. So this is the grinding surface of the tooth. This is all one tooth here. And elephant teeth don't have enamel on the outside like human teeth. They have instead these loops of enamel that are encased in a cement block of dentine. So this is the lower jaw, so there would be another tooth sitting on top of this. And that's the grinding surface where elephants chew up their plant food to swallow it. And when the tooth first comes out of the jaw, these are really proud and you can really feel the ridge. But as the tooth moves to the front and it's been in wear for a longer amount of time, it kind of flattens down and wears out. So what happens is that the new tooth coming in pushes out this old tooth and pushes out the flat grinding surface. So when we look at this tooth, we can measure the overall amount of the tooth, but we can also look at how much of the tooth is in wear and how many loops there are. From that, we can work out which tooth it is, whether it's 1 to 6 in the progression, and also how long it's been in wear, and figure out how old the animal is because of that. Are you having fun there, love? Go on, you can do it. Go on. Well done. So she's dropping the leaf. What she really wants is the pith, the heart of the palm. And you can see how elephants use their tusks. It's a toolkit alongside their trunk.
The sixth set of molars are the last to emerge. When they wear out, it's the beginning of the end. Elephants with worn-out teeth will eventually starve to death.
So this jaw is from Deborah, from one of our oldest matriarchs. And so she looked amazing, almost up until about a month, 6 weeks before her death. And we knew she must be on her last set of teeth and finally able to wear them out. So that you can see there's just almost nothing left on the tooth. So this is the edge, the end of the very last enamel loop here. And it's been in wear for such a long time. There's almost nothing left on both sides. So it's kind of sad to see her like this. She's actually even a little bit older than we thought she was. Yeah, I miss having her around. She's definitely one of the females that's made the strongest impression on me.
One secret of longevity seems to be metabolic rate. In general, the larger the animal, the slower its vital functions, and the longer it lives. Smaller animals usually have fast vital rates and short lives. One of the smallest mammals, the shrew, lives only a year. Bowhead whales, however, can live up to 200 years. It's a similar situation for birds and reptiles, though there are some exceptions. One of these exceptions is found in seabirds. Far from the coast, the Gulf of Alaska is home to a small island. There is no one here to welcome you except the ghosts of a former U.S. military base. It may not look like an island paradise, but it's the perfect place for kittiwakes. This is the only time of the year when these birds leave the sea and come ashore to breed.
Okay, let's have a look at this bird here, E17. Oh, well, that's a very bold one. Be careful if you weigh the chicks. This one here we had a few days ago. It's a middle-aged one, and I think that's why it's so bold. But it'll be a very good parent because it'll protect its chicks, won't let anyone else come in.
This old radar tower is now an extraordinary laboratory for studying seabird aging.
I have colleagues who are studying wild birds, and they spend all their life just trying to track the animal, trying to find the animal, trying to find their nest. And here we're able to get a huge sample size and do it very easily.
Kittiwakes can live up to 30 years. In comparison, the American crow, with a similar weight, lives only about 10.
If you go back 50, 100 years, there's this idea that every animal could have the same number of heartbeats in its life. If you look at a seabird, it blows that idea out of the water because they're able to have a very high heart rate and live very long. So they're able to have a very expensive lifestyle and maintain that throughout their life.
Working here for several weeks, Kyle Elliott and his team put bands and GPS trackers on the birds.
Yeah, it's a 6-year-old.
Later, the data collected will reveal many aspects of their life at sea.
There are many traits associated with aging in mammals that we don't see in these birds. For instance, metabolism, immunity, oxidative stress, telomeres, all of these things change with age in mammals, but they don't change nearly as rapidly or at all in birds.
Telomeres are small protective regions at the tips of chromosomes. Every time a cell divides, its chromosomes get duplicated and its telomeres get shorter. After a number of divisions, they become too short to protect the genetic material. The cell then replicates with errors or no longer replicates at all. This is the beginning of senescence. A few species of seabirds seem to have unusual resilience to this phenomenon. In the kittiwake, it's impossible to distinguish a young adult from an elderly one on the basis of its appearance. What sets them apart in terms of senescence is not yet known. It may be linked to the action of an enzyme called telomerase, which is known to protect and help regenerate telomeres.
Let's have a look at the band number. 794-28392. That makes her a 1996 bird. She's older than you are. Respect your elder here. She'd be 20 years old, which would be equivalent to about 80 in people years. But look at her. She's in really good condition. You can tell based on how she looks that she was that old. She's got a face that looks just. She looks just like the last one. The foot is the same. The bill is the same. There's just no real way of telling that she's this old, except that she was banded, 20 years ago. Okay, time to go. What are you doing? Okay, let's put some data and get lots of. We've looked at a whole suite of different parameters in terms of senescence, and what we have found a sign of senescence is muscle decay. So perhaps for you and I, as we get old, our muscles decay, our joints get a little bit creakier, it doesn't matter. But for a bird, apparently that can be catastrophic. If their muscles don't work quite as well, they're not able to eat as well, they're not able to defend themselves from predators as well, and that really seems to be where they show senescence.
Once senescence affects a kittiwake's ability to fly, death is not far away. But until then, these birds will continue to ride the breeze, catch fish, and raise their babies. In almost total darkness, another animal defies the rules of longevity. It's captured for study in a special trap.
This is a 3-bank harp trap, and it's got 3 banks of vertical fishing line. It makes their wings close, and they simply fall into the bag at the bottom. So these aren't too tense, as you can see. You can spread them apart. So it's just fishing lines. And when the bats fly along, they hit this and then just slide down the strings and then fall into the bag at the bottom we're just about to put on.
And bats really interest me for a number of reasons. They're a really big, diverse group. So we've got over 1,300 species worldwide, and in the UK we've got 17 breeding species. So that's over a third of our native British mammals are all bats. They're a really understudied group. So we're right at the forefront of actually a lot of the research we're doing. We're finding out lots of new things about a lot of our bats.
Bats are mammals, with young that drink milk from their mothers. But bats have borrowed a lifestyle from birds. They are the only mammals on the planet able to fly. Their strange looks come from their exceptional abilities. Their wings are actually large fingers connected by a tight layer of skin. Their ears are the receivers for echolocation, a system similar to sonar that uses sound to navigate their environment. These tools equip bats with the ability to escape the predators that prowl the forest at night. But wings and sonar are only one key to their amazing longevity. The European barbastel bat lives about 10 times longer than a similar-sized mouse. These bats can live to the age of 23. Their life expectancy is similar to that of a horse. It's unusual for a small mammal with such high metabolism to live so long. This tiny athlete evolved very differently from its land mammal cousins. Daniel Whitby is trying to better understand their distinct evolutionary path.
Bats have to live quite a long time because of their how they breed. Bats are generally only having 1 younger year, and they've got quite high mortality. And they're not breeding when they're very young. Sometimes they're a few years old before they start breeding. So any animal that's got high mortality and a very low reproductive rate has to have a very long lifespan in order to survive long enough, produce enough offspring to repopulate their population.
With this bat, nature has written a different set of rules. It has succeeded at what humans are often trying to achieve, a longer life. All over the world, scientists are working to reveal the secrets of aging. Humans have searched everywhere for answers, from the structure of plants to animal DNA. So far, it's mainly large animals that have guided our quest, and we sometimes forget about the smaller ones. Tiny insects are now revealing new insights into aging and longevity. Though you wouldn't know it from its sprightly appearance, this bee is nearing the end of its life. Soon, its worn-out wings will stop beating. The same fate awaits its thousands of siblings, foraging on flowers in the desert. Until her last wing beat, she continues flying from flower to flower, carefully bringing nectar back to her colony. At Arizona State University, some fascinating research is underway.
I have selected a single bee that has been cold anesthetized, so she has been chilled to the point of no movement. We're going to pick her up gently by the wing and place her into a harness. The important part about strapping her in and to make sure that her tongue or her proboscis is able to move free so that she is securely in, and place her into the testing arena.
Bees have complex brains, well supplied with neurons. Just like humans, bees are capable of learning and remembering. This worker bee is 1 month old. From the moment she emerged from her cell in the honeycomb, she embarked on a specific set of jobs. Just like the life that awaits her thousands of sisters, this bee's life will be one of constant work. But the tasks she must complete will change over time. During her first 2 weeks of life, she is a nurse. She cleans, feeds, and watches over the next generation of her large family. In her second career, she becomes a security guard, protecting the entrance of the hive from intruders. In the last phase of her life, out she goes, gathering pollen and nectar. Less than 2 weeks to explore the world, searching for flowers. It seems a short time to us, but time is all relative. While she and her sisters are out foraging, the researchers in the laboratory set up an experiment. All of the nurses in the hive have been removed. Upon their return, the foragers discover an alarming situation. No one is looking after the young. The emergency dramatically changes the role of the workers. The forager bees abandon their quest for pollen and go back to their former profession as nurses. Following this transformation, an unusual cold numbs her. She wakes up in the laboratory, wrapped in a small plastic tube, where she is now a participant in an experiment on reverse aging of the brain.
To begin the learning experiment, we take a bee and then we begin to blow scented air at her. We associate this with the sugar solution. When she begins to learn, she will begin to stick her tongue out before she even receives the reward. Timing is critical in this procedure. If the bee doesn't feed at the exact right moment, she will not learn and this experiment will fail.
Our old forager, who had returned to her job as a nurse, successfully passed this learning test. The test is repeated using old foragers captured around flowers, but they all fail. Something incredible has just happened. Senescence has been reversed. The brain functions of our bee have been restored to those of her youth. The researchers suspect that the reversal of brain aging may be linked to social contact. This has some important implications for research into Alzheimer's and other degenerative brain diseases. Taking care of the young again, the old bees have managed to achieve what we can still only imagine, reversing the aging of the brain. In northern Germany, the undisturbed waters of this marsh don't appear to be unusual. There are no clues to suggest that a remarkable animal is hiding below the surface. It's an animal considered by some to be immortal. For many years, Thomas Bosch has been probing its mysteries. It is found underwater, attached to aquatic plants. Its name is inspired by a mythical monster, one with many heads that can regenerate if chopped off. Our creature, in some ways, is similar. This is the Hydra. Hydra vulgaris. It's a freshwater jellyfish no bigger than your thumbnail.
Hydra has the capacity to asexual proliferation by budding. That means parental polyps give stem cells into the newly formed buds to make a new adult bud. This ability continuously is present during all time, so that the animals have the ability to produce eternal cell lineages. We want to understand why these stem cell lineages can form eternal lineages, while in most other organisms the stem cells decline in number and function during time and with aging. I find it fascinating that organism in the wild has the capacity to continuously grow. And from the very beginning, I found that intriguing to understand, because it was very clear already at the early days that aging in humans has something to do with stem cells and the loss of function and the loss number of stem cells over time.
The Hydra's body is full of stem cells. Stem cells can reproduce endlessly and form many different types of cells. In humans, for example, stem cells could become cells of the heart, liver, or skin.
Most of the body, with the exception of the top and the bottom of the body axis, is full of stem cells. And in this region full of stem cells, also new buds are coming out. So Hydra seems to be non-senescent. I do not want to use the term immortal, because there is no immortal organism on this earth. In nature, the animals, of course, are sensitive to environmental hazards, to predators, to pathogens, and so the number of animals which is present in a given pond is of course limited. There is a balance in nature because there are many causes of death. I think we all have to realize that lifespan is limited in any organism, and that lifespan is dictated by genetics, but also by, to a great deal, by environmental factors.
So the Hydra teaches us that even things that seem immortal are not. For these resilient, self-renewing creatures, luck and circumstance still play a part. If they are lucky, zebras can live to the age of 30. But at any time, life can end in an instant. This zebra was not sick, and no weaker than his peers. But he was caught by surprise. Bad luck. That's just the way nature works. Aging in the wild is a challenge, even for predators. Over its lifetime, this scarred old lion has fought many battles. Right now, he's still the leader of his pride. But one day soon, he will become a bit too old to defend his position. After a day in the marsh, the elephants return. Surprise! Danger is lying in wait. There is strength in numbers. Being part of a group provides protection. This matriarch knows what to do. The biggest elephants form a wall, protecting the most vulnerable. They have learned to live with danger. Over time, it's survival of the fittest. And through this evolutionary process, varied lifespans have arisen. Growing old means growing wise. With age comes knowledge like how to avoid danger and how to be a good parent. This wisdom helps a community to thrive. We are just beginning to unravel the complexity of aging. Evolution has shaped many routes to longevity. From beginning to end, each path is unique.